Your body has been talking. The real question is, have you been listening? Most times, people only find out that something is wrong with their bodies when it's already too late. Listen, tracking your physical health is not as complicated, time consuming, or even as expensive as you think. Hold on, let me show you how. Let's discuss 5 easy ways to track your physical health without having to break the bank. So, if you've been neglecting your physical health just because you think it's expensive, this video will change that mindset. If you want to live longer, feel stronger, and be in control of your body, stay tuned and let's dive in. Hello, welcome back to Thrive with Dr. Dara. If you're a returning subscriber, you're welcome back. And if you see my face for the first time, it's lovely to have you on here. We discuss on practical habits that can help us thrive in every area of our lives. Today we'll be discussing on a very important topic that we need to take seriously, and that is our physical health, particularly tracking our physical health. Now, I know when you hear tracking physical health, you're thinking expensive gym memberships, expensive medical checkups, fancy gadgets, and all those scary stuff. But relax. I'm here to let you know that you don't have to break that bank to be in charge and be on track with your physical health. You can thrive, you can be consistent, you can be intentional, all with tools that are easy, accessible, and available to anyone. In today's video, we're going to walk through 5 powerful steps that will help us understand our body, monitor our progress, and to stay on top of our physical health. These steps are so simple, you can start them right after watching this video. So grab your notes, sit comfortably, and let's learn together. The first step is to monitor your basic vital signs and your body mass index, also called your BMI. When you talk about staying in track of your physical health, these two things play a huge role. That is your basic vital signs and your body mass index, right? Most of the times before these so-called emergency health emergencies happen or certain diseases come up, they give signals. Your body gives you signals. And to catch the signals early, you have to check your vital signs and your BMI regularly, as regular as you can. All right, checking them regularly would help you catch these diseases early. And guess what? Checking these vital signs are not as expensive as people claim they are. They're actually cheaper than we think. But before we dive in, let's know what these vital signs are. What are these vital signs? Vital signs are an objective measurement of your body's most important and essential functions. Okay, so when there's anything wrong with the body, you're the first to go abnormal. You're the first to go from the normal to abnormal. Okay, so they can either be low or too high, and is an indicator of problems, basically. So, what are these vital signs? Vital signs include your heart rate, pulse rate. Okay, we have the blood pressure. All right, we have the temperature, we have the oxygen saturation, we have respiratory rate, we have blood glucose level. Okay, so these are all your vital signs and you can check them easily. Your heart rate shows you how fast your heart pumps within the space of 1 minute, right? The normal is usually between 60 to 100, and it usually depends on the individual and the environment the individual is in, right? So just know your baseline, and that's why you're advised to check regularly so you can know your baseline. Same thing goes for blood pressure. So blood pressure shows you the pressure within your vessels, right? If it's too high, there are diseases or complications that can result from that. Same thing if it's too low, okay? For temperature, right? If it's too high, you're gonna have a fever. If it's too low, we're looking at hypothermia. right? Then we have our oxygen saturation. Your oxygen saturation shows you if you are taking in enough oxygen that your body needs, right? So that's what your oxygen saturation shows you. Then we have glucose level. So blood glucose level shows the level of glucose in your body, right? So if it's too high, we're turning more towards diabetes. And if that is too low, we're looking at hypoglycemia. Now, the BMI, which is your body mass index, is a screening tool that helps measure fat, right, using the weight and the height. Okay, so your weight, we have to know your weight in kg and know your height in meters. And to calculate your BMI, it's going to be your weight divided by height times height, literally. So that's your weight divided by the square of your height. That will give you your BMI. So what BMI does, it helps classify people into your underweight, right? Normal weight, overweight, and then the different classes of obesity, right? Knowing your BMI will help you understand how to work on your nutrition, your exercise, and basically your general lifestyle, okay, when it comes to movement and diet. Look, just recently, I decided to check my BMI because I was having a lot of crazy symptoms. My back was paining me, my knees were aching, I was having very funny palpitations. I used to ask patients about palpitations, but I really didn't know how it felt. I started feeling it recently, right? I could find myself not breathing in my sleep. I knew it was time to find that skill again. So climbing the scale and seeing my weight, I screamed. I could not believe I had that weight on. So I had to start working out and working on my diet because we must save this life and save this vessel. Okay? So yeah, pay attention to your vital signs and your BMI. They are usually the first indicators when your body is giving you signs. Okay? So whether your body is giving you signs or not, monitor them regularly so you can know what to do moving forward. And if you need intervention, you can start early. You don't have to measure them every day, all day. Just start. Then you can do them weekly. You can do them twice in a month. Just keep a good record of them and, if possible, write them down. Some of these tools that you use to measure these vital signs and your BMI are not expensive at all. They're usually available for purchase in your stores, online stores, or even physical stores, right? Check some of these pharmacies, they have them, and they're usually not expensive. You just try and walk in there and ask them. To check these things, you need your thermometer, you need your sphygmomanometer. Honestly, you don't even need to own some of these things. You can walk into the pharmacy and they can check them for you for free or for a little fee. It's usually not as expensive as we think, okay? So if you don't want to purchase these things, you can always walk into a store, into a pharmacy, or a hospital and have them check them for you. I've gone on and on about why monitoring your vital signs and your BMI is important. Okay, so it's very important, right? It helps you understand your body. It'll help you know when something is off, pick up the signals quickly, and start intervention when as early as possible, right? And basically just saves you from having to deal with some medical emergencies. Remember, your body always speaks. What you should do is to be listening to it, pay attention to it. And one way you can do that is to monitor your vital signs and BMI as often as possible. The second step is to track your movement or exercise and your diet. Weight loss is not the only benefit you get from exercising and eating clean. We need to pack that ideology and throw it in the bin. I find it so annoying that you see someone skinny or slim exercising in the gym, and then you go ahead to ask the person, Auntie, what are you looking for? What are you doing again? What do you want again? She's looking to be healthy. I get so annoyed. Like, can you leave them? You think they don't know what they are doing. Most of the times, people just think when you're in the gym, when you're trying to like work out, move your body, is because you're trying to lose weight. Yeah, more often than not, that's just the reason. That's the main reason people exercise. But that is not the only benefit you get from exercising and eating clean. There are so many other benefits. So you see that ideology, pack it, lock it up, and throw it away. And please stop asking people funny questions. Now you might ask why it is important to track your movement, your exercise, and your diet. What it does is that it helps you stay consistent. You would agree with me that this entire fit farm thing is a lot of struggle. And in all honesty, it is easier said than done. So this is where keeping a track of what you do from a day-to-day basis or a weekly basis would honestly help you and help you basically stay consistent, right? You get encouraged. Today I did 500 jump ropes. Tomorrow I want to push to do another 500 or even more, right? So it helps you stay consistent. It keeps you on track, right? It weans you off the sedentary lifestyle, right? So keeping track of your exercise, your workouts, and your diet will eventually help you wean off sedentary lifestyle, and your cardiovascular system will thank you. I mean, your general health will thank you, but your cardiovascular system will thank you more, literally. Then it also helps you boost your physical and, of course, your mental health. You see that you're happier, you see you do things with more energy. Tracking it helps you a lot. You don't need gym memberships. Movement is free, okay? So there should be no excuse of I don't have money to get to the gym or all those very funny stuff. They are free apps, right, that you can use to walk around. If you have a phone, you can move. You don't even need a phone to move. You can just take 10, 20 to 30 minutes a day and walk around, right? That is movement enough. If you can't, you can increase it by the day up to an hour every day. Move around. If you are walking and you sit down a lot, change your position. You can stand. If you stand a lot, you can sit. Sit, stand, sit, stand. It's some movement. You really do not need to spend money to move. It's completely free. However, if you want to keep track of your movement, you can keep a diary. All you need for that is a book and pen, right? Take a walk, 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day. Jot that down. Write the date, write the time. I walked from 7:30 to 8 o'clock today. That is done. That is you logging in. That is you keeping track of your movement, right? Same thing goes for food. There are free apps, right, that can help you keep track of your diet, right? There are some of them that help with intermittent fasting. They have the paid program, but they also have free programs that you can use. So, no excuses. Money is not an excuse, right? There are free ones that you can use. Hop on them and keep track of your diet and your movement. I know I've said this before, but I would like to reiterate. Moving your body is not just about losing weight. It's about staying strong, staying healthy, and preventing illness. When you track your movement and your diet, you build discipline, you build strength and longevity. It's actually easier said than done. Trust me, I'm having a very serious challenge doing this myself. But I find that having a community really helps a great deal. Shout out to my Fit Farm on Snapchat, TikTok, and Instagram. We work together as a community and push ourselves, right? The results we get really pushes me to stay on track and monitor my progress as much as I can. So, cheers to the healthiest version of ourselves. I would also love to add that while you're working with a community, right, you shouldn't compare your result with anyone else's. Results may differ, right? So you shouldn't find yourself comparing results. Rather, let their results encourage you and motivate you to do better. Okay? Just make sure that you've started. If you've not started, start. Stay consistent. And of course, celebrate your little wins. The third step is to track your sleep consistently. Sleep is one of the most ignored indicators of physical health. You cannot thrive when your sleep is suffering. You might wonder why it is important to track your sleep. It affects your mood. That's why you find that when you don't have good sleep, you end up being grumpy for the entire day, right? It can affect your hormones, right? It can affect your weight. You find that you're exercising, you're dieting, you're doing everything that you have to do, but cortisol is fighting against all your progress. You're still adding weight while doing everything that you should do. Why? Because you're not getting enough sleep. As much as you work out, you need to rest, you need to sleep, right? You need to declutter your mind. It affects your mood, right? Oh, we've said mood before. So it affects your mood, it affects your weight, it affects how you think, mental clarity, and so many other things. It even affects your relationship. Having known the importance of sleep and the role it has to play in our day to day lives, we need to make sure we are getting quality sleep. And to do this, we need to track our sleep and make sure we're practicing good sleep hygiene. Tracking your sleep is by far the cheapest when it comes to tracking your overall health, right? All you need to use is a sleep journal. And for that, all you need is a pen and a journal. If you want to go digital, you can just use your devices, your phone, your tablet, your system, anything, right? It's by far the cheapest. If you still want to take it a step further, there are apps that you can use that are completely free. Yes, completely free. Now you have your sleep diary or sleep journal. What are the things you need to take note of? The first is your pre sleep routine. This is usually between 30 minutes to 2 hours before bedtime. These are the activities that you do within that time period before you go to bed, right? It ranges from what you eat, the kind of food you eat, what time you eat. Are they fruits? Are they heavy foods? Drinks you take, any alcohol consumption before bed, screen time before bed. What this does is it helps you diagnose your sleep habits, right? It helps you check if you have a good sleep hygiene, right, or a bad sleep hygiene. And it just helps you, point out areas where you need to make certain changes to help you improve your sleep. Another thing you need to take note of is how many hours of sleep you are getting. And to know this, you need to know the time that you go to bed and the time you wake up from sleep, right? So if you take note of this, it will give you an idea of how long and how many hours you sleep, right? Another thing you need to know is how you feel, right, when you wake up from sleep, right? Do you still feel tired? Do you feel well rested, right? That's another thing you need to take note of in your sleep journal. Another thing that is quite important is, do you have frequent nighttime waking, right? So you need to know how many times you wake up at night and why you wake up at night, right? Is it to urinate? Is it to cough? Is it because of pain? Right? You need to note that down in your sleep journal. So, what the sleep journal does, it helps you understand your sleep patterns and helps you identify areas or things that are causing you not to have very good and adequate sleep, as you should. Remember, sleep is not luxury, okay? It's a maintenance phase. Your body needs that time period to rejuvenate itself, to repair itself from the factors that you expose it to during the day, it repairs itself, it rejuvenates itself. So you need that sleep, okay? Remember, sleep is not luxury, it's maintenance. Okay? So make sure you're sleeping well, track it, and make sure that you're getting enough and adequate sleep for your body. Now, the fourth step of tracking your general physical health is to keep a daily or weekly health journal. This is the most underrated yet powerful tool when it comes to tracking your physical health. What this does, it helps you keep track of your water intake, your food intake, your your vitals, like we discussed before, right? Your movement, your mood, right? your menstrual cycle for my ladies, your so many factors. Honestly, it just helps. It's like an overall book, an overall diary that shows you your present medical condition, your past medical conditions, right? And it just gives you, it's like a physical inventory of your general health over a period of time, right? This journal obviously needs a date and a time, right, to it, just like you keep your diaries, right? It's the same thing with this, but this is basically and strictly medical, right? Including your physical health, right? Your mental health, right? It covers all of that. So you write how you feel, you write how what the symptoms you're feeling. It just helps you understand the patterns. It rings an alarm when you know you need to pay attention to certain things in your body. And all you need for this is just a book, a notebook, and it could be a physical notebook or a digital one. That's for you to decide. And there are so many templates online that you could use. There's so many of them. So get anyone that resonates well with you. What should your journal contain? It should have a date, the time, right? Any symptoms, if you have anyone, the drugs you probably took for that symptoms. If you could relieve the symptom, right? Your water intake for the day, your vitals, like we discussed, your food intake for the day, right? If there's any changes in your urine or in your stool, you can note that down as well. If your menstrual cycle for my ladies, right? Mood changes, if any, and generally your activities for the day. Like I said, it just helps you highlight patterns and helps you understand your body better, helps you understand how your body responds to certain exposures, right? And helps you gives you an idea of what to stay away from and what to expose yourself to. Like I said, just go online, do your research, find templates that resonate well with you, or you can create yours yourself and work with that. Make it interesting, make it beautiful, right? And make it very interesting for you to always go back to. It's a very important thing. You understand your body better and you know how to roll with your body. And it doesn't even have to be complex, honestly. You can just get a normal journal, a normal paper, write your date, your time, and the things that stood out to you for that day, right? Make it simple and short. We can, for example, we can say on the 20th of November 2025, I felt really tired around 12 noon, right? I realized I only slept 5 hours in the night. My appetite is low. I walked about 3,000 steps today. I drank only 2 bottles of water and I had nothing to eat. You know, what this simple note does is that it shows if stress or tiredness come from lack of adequate sleep, headaches could come from dehydration, right? And probably digestive issues from exposure to certain kinds of food, right? So what really happens really is your body gives signals and your journal just simply interprets them. The more you write, the more you understand what your body is trying to tell you. The fifth and final step is routine body checks and self awareness. This is where people fail. They ignore the body's signals completely. Sometimes your body gives signals. In fact, it goes as far as giving several signals. The point here is, are you paying attention to even notice these signals? You know, for example, patients with diabetes, certain kind of diabetes, you have to be pre-diabetic to eventually get to that particular kind of diabetes, usually type 2 diabetes, right? So if you monitor yourself, right, and pay attention to certain changes in your body, you realize that your body actually gives certain signs. You might see some skin changes, some changes in your urine, right? And at the point of prediabetes, it's usually easier to treat without medications, right? And you know, the outcome is usually really good once you notice these things early. Same goes for other diseases that have a progressive pattern, right? If you can identify them early, treatment is usually given early, and the results at the end of the day is usually really, really good. So it's really important to be aware, self-aware of your health. Pay attention as much as you can to your body signals. Just a few weeks ago, like I said, my entire body was aching me, right? My blood sugar too was quite high, pre-diabetic. So I had to cut my diet, I had to start working out seriously because some of these things are somewhat quiet, but not really quiet because if you're paying attention to certain signals, you will pick them and you'll start working immediately. So, my brothers and sisters, check your skin, check your eyes, check your mouth, check your body, check for swellings, check for mood changes, check for digestive issues, check for stooling excessively, no stool at all, check for your urinary changes, right? Pay attention to these so called subtle signs. They may be subtle, but they are warnings for a progressive disease that may lead to medical emergency later on. For these routine body checks and self-awareness is even more important for people who are already living with certain comorbidities like diabetes, hypertension. You can do monthly visits, you can do weekly visits, you can even do quarterly visits or visit once in a year, right? This I'm talking about clinic visits, or discuss with your clinician, and whatever your clinician decides, right? You work with that, and make sure you are keeping a track of your health, and be careful for any subtle changes. Visit the clinic when you notice anything, right? And then go and visit it regularly, as regular as you can, once a year, once a month, twice a year if you must. Do you, but make sure you're paying attention to your body changes. Okay, you can do free or little to nothing, little to no pay really. At these pharmacies, they can help you check your blood sugar, right? Have that checked as often as you can, especially if you know that you have a sweet tooth. Start watching your diet. Okay, if you're like me who has a sweet tooth, watch your diet. Cut that sugar craving as much as you can. It's difficult. I've been there, but cut it as much as you can. Make sure you check your sugar level, cut it as much as you can, and of course, join and make sure you take part of some of these free outreaches that happen within the community. You get to have all these your vitals and others we have discussed checked for free. So definitely join them if you have any community outreach happening around you. Okay, don't be scared to join them. You get the services for free, so join them. And for those of us who love to work day and night, especially my dear medical practitioners who take care of others and forget to take care of themselves, I want you to remember that your body is not a machine. It needs compassion, it needs care, and it needs some sort of intention. You need to listen to your body before it becomes too late. Remember, you cannot heal what you refuse to notice. So let's recap the 5 affordable steps to keep track of your physical health. The first we have said is to track your vital signs and BMI. BMI is your body mass index. Okay? Keep track of your daily movement, your exercise, and your diet. The third is to track your sleep. The fourth is to keep a daily or weekly health journal. The fifth is to do routine body checks and stay self aware. Remember, your physical health is your responsibility and your greatest investment. We have agreed and we have come to the conclusion that you don't need to break a bank to stay on top of your game when it comes to keeping track of your physical health, right? So be intentional about it and stay on top of your game with these simple habits. We don't have it all figured out. Trust me. This video is for myself as well. But let's not lose hope. Let's start small. Let's start with what we have. And our future self will thank us for this beautiful investment. Thank you for staying with me till the end. And I can't wait to have you join me in the next one. Bye.